Hey, good morning. I see the sun is like really glaring in here today. Sorry, friends. Um, today, Monday, today we are coming live like I have been on Monday mornings to maybe give you a little bit different perspective, to give you a little bit of guidance, maybe some insight into some areas that you haven't considered. One of the things that I have talked about for a while with my other clients and one of my other businesses, um, and um, I actually watched a quick TED talk on it this morning, and I thought this is important. And it's about creativity. So much of the time, I find people um, living and dying by their calendars, right? We all have really busy lives, whether you're building a business, whether you work, a W 2 job, whether you're part time, full time, whether you are, home with the kids, definitely a full time job plus, right? Um, it doesn't matter where you're at, but what I've noticed is people live and die by their calendars and we feel busy, we feel rushed. And what does that do? It eliminates a lot of times our creativity. And so much of the time, we are not scheduling creativity into our calendars. Friends, this is so important. One of the things in the TED Talk that, and I can't remember, I'd love to give this lady credit, and it was a reel, so I'd never be able to find it again, and I didn't save it, unfortunately. But one thing that she said is the world needs your creativity. And I thought, wow, that's powerful, right? It's so powerful. But I believe she's right. The world does need our creativity. The world needs your creativity. And this can look like a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It doesn't mean that you create a business out of your artwork. It doesn't mean that you sell your poetry. What it means is I believe when you schedule in, when you give yourself time to be creative, you then create this different energy about you. You become quote unquote better in how you interact with people. You, I think, just develop this energy that is more engaging, that is more receiving, that's more giving, that is and I mean this all in a healthy way. So don't come at me with, a whole bunch of mores and betters. I get it, folks. It's not about being more and being better. It's about showing really who you are, because so much of the time I think that so much of the time we feel rushed, we feel busy, and we don't feel like we are um, living into our soul purpose, right? We don't feel like, we say all the time like, oh, I've lost a piece of myself. And I believe part of that comes because we're not giving ourselves time to be creative. This could be a hobby, this could be, actual artwork, painting, um, sewing, any kind of craft. It could be writing poetry, it could be singing. Um, you might not even know what that is for you, and that's okay too. But I would encourage you to look in exploring, right, what that creativity could be for you. It's not about creating a perfect piece of artwork either, folks. It's about giving your brain a different place to rest for a while. It's about opening up space to just let the emotions kind of move through you. I've got a t-shirt that says music is what feelings sound like. And I love that because that for me speaks to what being creative is kind of about, right? Every Monday, I actually schedule creativity time on my calendar. This is just time that I'm not necessarily just thinking about business, right? It's not time that I am working per se, but it's about getting out of the office, getting out of the house, going to a different location, just seeing what comes up for me. Um, it's really amazing what happens when you give yourself permission to just be. Um, just let whatever is going to flow. It feels very uncomfortable to start off with, but then the sense of peace and calm afterwards just makes it so worth it, in my opinion. I think that it gives us time to be more authentic because we're really allowing ourselves to just be in that space. Um, Another way that I allow my creativity to flow is in cooking and baking. I love to cook and to bake. It's can be stressful, but in a good way, right? It can be stressful in a good way. Stress isn't inherently bad, FYI. But just allowing yourself to be creative, right? And what does that mean for you? Um, Artwork, drawing, painting doesn't necessarily bring me a lot of joy. I do color. I've actually got a couple of coloring books over here on my desk that sometimes at night I'll just grab, my markers and my pens and my coloring book, and I'll watch TV kind of in the background, right? But I color because it just lets the juices flow. It triggers a different part of your brain. So, folks, this whole Monday morning, this whole message for you today is, schedule time into your calendar to be creative. Give yourself space to not produce, but to be. Give yourself space to bring back some of those pieces of you that maybe you feel like you've lost. I find that a lot of times that has to do with like our hobbies and our creativity, right? Life gets busy, and what's the place that we cut? It's the non-producing areas, right? And so I just want to encourage you, this week and from now on, start scheduling time to be creative in your life and take note of how it changes you mentally, physically, with business, when you interact with others, at work, how your relationships change with your partner, with your kids. Take note of it. Again, this doesn't necessarily happen overnight, right? Give it time because it is a process. But this week's challenge, this week's suggestion, this week's insight is all about creativity. So I would love to have you post in the comments, hashtag replay, what you're going to do or what you feel you are creative in. I shared mine, kind of baking and cooking. I color, and then once a week I do schedule time to just get out and just let whatever flow. Sometimes it has to do with business, sometimes it doesn't, but I just let it work. And so that's my brain just being creative and kind of dumping some things out. So, post in the comments, if you will, please, how you will bring more creativity time into your space, and what does that maybe look like for you? What is that creativity? What's that creative spark in you? Is it poetry? Is it writing? Is it music? Let us know. So, have a great week. Have a great week, folks. You're alive. You're here. Something that we can truly be thankful for. So, have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.